Hi, I'm in Portland, Oregon, and things are a little crazy. You can't really go anywhere or shop many places except the grocery store. And so I think a lot of people might rightfully be concerned about food shortages and what can maybe I grow for myself, even in containers or in your backyard. There's so many options, and you don't have to have a green thumb, and you don't have to have a lot of money to get started. So there are a few things you can get your hands on immediately. So if you have access to a grocery store and they do have onions, ginger, or garlic, you can use like 2/3 of it for your cooking and save 1/3 of it to plant. And so that's going to be really great. And you can also do the same thing with onions, with leeks. You can plant portions of celery. You can regenerate carrots. It's pretty awesome. If you've got something that's wilting in the refrigerator, you can plant it, and oftentimes it will come back to life and replenish itself by making different versions of itself. What's that called? Reproduction. That's it. Okay, so like I was talking about garlic. So these guys came up over the winter, and I'm gonna plant them in the sun because I learned that they don't like shade. So that was my bad. But this is like a little clove. This is a great example because that's all you need is just to pull off one little clove from the garlic, and you'll plant it, little root side down, tip side up, 2 inches deep, and it'll come up. Now I want to show you something that just amazes me and inspired this video in the first place. So I was just kind of rooting around in the garden. I looked down and noticed this is some garlic I had not really planted. I think I was composting it in this corner, and it is just growing like a chief. I mean, like I said, 2 inches down is best, but you see all this life and vigor that's happening. And we just had a snow a week ago, and we had another over the winter, and these have been here since the summer. And even this guy that was just like chilling like this, he's ready. He is so full of life and wanting to get put in the ground. So this is a garlic clove that is budding, and so still has little roots on the bottom, gives you an indicator of which way it goes, that side down. And so another thing you can do is plant broccoli. If you have seeds, if you have access to a grocery store, most of the time they will have seeds. And this broccoli, now a lot of people will cut their broccoli down because it has the tendency to get kind of funny tasting if you let it go to flour like this. However, I argue that, okay, this broccoli in particular is 2 years old. I know that sounds crazy, but I planted it in the summer, early summer of 2018, and just let it be. And now you can see all the extensions on it. Now this is fresh. I can harvest this and it would be delicious. Over here, this is fresh as well. Now, I mean, it's starting to kind of, when it's starting to spread like this, that's how you know that it's about to bolt a little. But the bees get all over these flowers. They love it, and the plant continues to give good parts of it that I can harvest and eat, as well as share this plant with my family, with my friends, and with the bees, as long as I just take little bits of it at a time, which is really fantastic. So like I said, throughout the snow, we have this broccoli here that survived 2 years, like I said. This is some creeping thyme. Now we're in planting zone 8, if that's helpful, which is a little more a milder climate. But this thyme has been here a couple years, and it's slow growing, but it will carpet your garden. And creeping thyme is really great ground cover. And this parsley. I got to looking at it, I was like, this is parsley? Are you kidding me right now? And so, yeah, it survived 2 snows, was from last summer. It's doing great. You know, it's a little lighter color from the snow, but I mean, that's just showing you, you know, you do have planting tables, but these are indicators of how amazing Mother Nature is. Now, another thing I'm really excited about that you can plant immediately are potatoes. So all you need is a 5-gallon bucket and some taters that you might have forgotten about, right? So I heard a guy on YouTube calling these tits, and so I mean, they do kind of look like really weird tits, but maybe he was saying tips and I just heard what I wanted to hear. But anyway, so something amazing. Here's the deal with potatoes. They're incredible. I planted some potatoes last year and I forgot about a few of them. I was digging around in the earth and these little bitty potatoes were just sprouting just without even being cared for throughout the winter. So if you plant potatoes, I mean, they will come back and back and back. And what I have been so frustrated about is when I go to buy potatoes, I always end up with them like this. I don't use them all. So if I plant them in the garden, then I only ever harvest the ones I need, which is super helpful. And I think realizing how much food we actually waste when we're having a food crisis can be very motivating to either garden, use less food, share food, whatever. So in this pot, you could put organic potting soil. You could use, you would need to have holes in the bottom of this. This one does not. Or have a planter, or have a fabric pot, which are like $4 or $5. You can get them online right now. They're totally not scarce. And you can use any, you can use burlap sacks. You can, I mean, just look up every way you can grow potatoes. I've heard the best way is just to plant them straight up in the ground level, not in a mound or anything like that, but you know, to each their own, especially if you have limited space. So you can grow the potatoes in a pot like this, and what you would do is, what I'm using here is coconut coir, and if I was really gonna use this, and why I like coconut coir is because it comes really compact in a block and then expands, and it retains moisture really well. And ideally you would want to mix this with some soil, but it will extend the life of your soil, which I really like, and also again make you have to water it way less, which is really awesome. And you would dig down, and now maybe you want to dress it with some compost or something like that. So you dig all the way down in here, right, and work some compost into this center and put your tater down in there like that, right, and cover it up. And you can just pile taters on top of each other, okay? And so the other things you can do while you're getting your taters, onions, garlic going, you can plant kale. You can plant lettuce from seeds right now in March in most places. If you're down in Texas, I mean, you should have had tomatoes in the ground by Valentine's Day, you know what I mean? I mean, you've got planters heaven down there. So I mean, don't be afraid to put some seeds in the ground. If you don't really have much money, I would say the most important thing to get is a bag of compost. And the one that I highly recommend is this biodynamic Malibu compost booze blend biodynamic compost. It's really amazing. Compost is critical for the success of your plants, and you can do it in so many different ways. You can soak it in water for 24 hours and make compost tea. You could dress the entire bed with a couple inches of it and work it into the top layer of soil. But if you already have plants that exist, a good method is the hole method. Now that's not proper terminology, I just don't know what else to call it. It's basically when you dig the hole, you're going to put the bulb or the plant or the seeds or whatever in, and you dress the area with compost and work that into all the soil so that you don't burn the roots of the developing new plant by having too much compost. And so let me show you my fancy schmancy method real quick. So here is the hole, and what I found when I was digging down in it was already some existing life matter. This white fungi is some nice fungus that's going to continue to feed the soil. So if you see this white stuff, that's a good sign that your soil is healthy and being fed from organic matter from the past season. Regardless of that, we're going to dress this soil with soil in the hole with compost. And here it is. We have a nice scoop of it. And so I'm going to just shake it. And then I've got all the dirt that piled up from digging, and I'll just put it all back in there. Right? And then you've kind of got this like soupy hole, and I'm just gonna, from the bottom up. Oh, and we got this nice strawberry plant that I can now give away as a transplant. Anyway, so bottom up, and then just mix, just like a salad, ironically. Okay, and then you're ready to plant whatever it is that you're going to plant. And in this case, it is a big water lily dahlia, because if you plant flowers that attract bees and pollinators to your garden, you'll have a much healthier and more successful, this strawberry just wants to live. I will let you live just somewhere else. And successful harvest, and plus your fruits will taste way sweeter because they'll produce more sugar. So happy planting, happy harvest. Thanks for watching.